Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching A Healthy Alternative. Today, we're doing a really special episode. I've got Brother Philip with me today. He just got finished completing a 21-day hunger strike, or, as we call it, a fasting strike, a water fasting strike with him and another group of men, Black men, who are actually, they're advocating against gun violence in their area. So we're going to be sitting down, having a conversation, figuring out what they were thinking when they decided to go about doing this, and what are some of the things they experienced during this period. So stay tuned. We're missing a piece of the puzzle. You start getting healthy and you just become a better person.
We need to start focusing more on the individual.
All right, brother. So I was really excited to hear from you and to be, asked to bring you on, honestly, to, get this out there because, obviously I think we all see that the killings from due to gun violence, especially in certain neighborhoods, is ridiculous and always has been. Like I grew up in not so great neighborhoods, to the point where when you heard a gun, it was just normal. Like it wasn't, I never thought, oh, that was someone shooting. I didn't think anything of it. Hearing the ambulance, driving around it just was normal background noise. And I moved to the suburbs at some point in time. And when I didn't hear that, it was weird. It's like, man, it's really quiet. And then as I got older and I moved back to these neighborhoods, that's when it clicked for me. I'm like, whoa, this isn't normal. You're not supposed to just hear guns. Like, ain't nobody hunting. Like, where are all the gunshots coming from?
That's right.
And it became more real for me. So,
yeah.
Can you break down for me? Well, first of all, where do you live? What was going on that would cause you guys to want to, do this hunger strike? Did something specifically happen in your life that, were you affected by it, or kind of how did you get going with this?
So the question was, what was like the catalyst, right?
What's the catalyst, and where are you from? Where are you doing it?
Okay. Oh, good. So I'm Brother Philip Muhammad Tavernier, and we're here. I'm here in Miami, Florida, and I am a member of an organization called the Circle of Brotherhood. And the Circle of Brotherhood, our motto is Black men solving their own community's problems. So we have I can't say disproportionate, because gun violence is becoming ever increasing throughout the United States and the world for that matter. But here in Miami, Florida, where we are, which is where we launched the hunger strike, or Operation Hunger Strike, which was at the corner of 62nd Street and 12th Avenue. That is notoriously one of the most popular sites that they like to shoot that television show, The First 48.
Yeah.
So The First 48, it's like even cops, the old Bad Boys, the TV show, started down here in South Florida. So, and this is also the land of stand your ground, where you can actually kill somebody, and you can, as of course, in terms of Trayvon Martin, whose mother, Sabrina Fulton, was one of the first ones to come out to our site. You have the stand your ground law, where you can shoot and kill somebody if you can, and the legalese, or the words behind it, is if you feel reasonably threatened, you can actually take your gun out. Like that's the legal jargon for stand your ground. If you feel reasonably threatened. Well, reasonable is different to different people, right? So we wonder, how does Zimmerman get off of the killing of Trayvon Martin? Well, that's the law down here in Florida, and particularly in Miami. There's probably more guns than people. So there, as part of the Circle of Brotherhood, some of our brothers went to a candlelight vigil that was being put on by mothers of murdered children, which is an organization by one of our dear sisters, Tangela Sears. And at that vigil, the brothers who were there, who witnessed, just went there in support of the family, and also out of us 9, we're known as the Hunger 9. You know, hashtag the Hunger 9, number 9, or just hashtag Hunger 9. The brothers went there just in support, and you know, this is it's what we do. And as they were there to hear one crying, wailing mother who's lost a child is one thing, man. But to hear 40 to 50 mothers who were there crying and wailing the loss of their child who was taken violently. So this is not like, you know, it's not to say it's good in any way to lose a child, be it cancer, be it sickness. You know, there's just some things that are out of your control, but there are other things that leave you questioning yourself as a parent. Why did I let him go? Should I have allowed him? Just all of these other feelings and thoughts that are elicited when you lose a child to a tragic death. And so there was one other brother by the name of Blaze Carter who was there. And he spoke. He lost his 6-year-old son. You can check it out, search it online. His name was King Carter, the little King Carter, who was like 6 or 7 years old. And he was killed in a drive-by cross shoot, you know, in the crossfire of a drive-by. So he spoke, and he spoke to the lack of support that there was to him and his family, and you know, the politicians who said they were going to do this, and the police who said they were going to do that, and the organizations, and they were all empty promises. And he spoke from that place of anger. And so the brothers who were there, our lead organizer, Brother Leroy Jones, one of our dear brothers who was an author, Brother Albert X. Campbell, he was there as well, and Brother Chicken George, aka George Jackson, he was. They were there, and as they were leaving, being so moved by that and so pained by that, we're like, man, we got to do something. What are we gonna do? And so when he described, when later on, Brother Leroy said, listen, man, I think it was between either him or Brother George. They said, look, man, we need to do a hunger strike, you know? And then when he said, let's do a hunger strike, brother did some research and was like, look, man, we can't find anywhere where a group of black men in the United States did a hunger strike outside of prison. So that was a tactic, and 6 out of the 9 brothers that were in there did, you know, serious prison time. Right. Brother Albert was one. Brother Albert, who I mentioned before, actually did 22 years in prison and was not exonerated, but whatever the term is, I don't want to use the wrong term, but was released. He was pardoned by President Barack Obama.
Oh, okay.
So he was like, listen, man, I even while we were in the hunger strike part, forgive me for jumping around and whatnot, but as I'm talking to you, so many things are coming back. Even during his time while we were in the encampment, because we lived outside for 21 days. And during that time, we just drank water. And as a matter of fact, we drank distilled water, because from the studying and watching A Healthy Alternative, it was like, yo, drink distilled water. And so we drank distilled water. Of course, you know, the community, the more the community started hearing about, folks just started bringing water. People would bring Gatorade, and they bring all kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And I mean, it got to the point, it was like, man, one brother, one night, it was so funny. He was like, man, if one more person bring water up in here, I know. Brother, we had enough water to fill up because part of the purpose of a hunger strike is to elicit feelings of guilt in others. You know, right. Not guilt necessarily for what you did or are doing, but for what you're not doing. And so, you know, long story short, man, once the brothers came and they brought the idea to the body. Actually, it wasn't to the body, it was to a select group of brothers within the circle. Everybody's got their area of expertise and what they could do. So once the idea came to me, and we had a small meeting with about 15 brothers. And like I mentioned to you before, A Healthy Alternative just started becoming a regular part of my regimen of watching, because I was trying to wrap my brain around going 21 days. I know personally I need to do something to hit the reboot button on myself, right? for my children, for my grandchildren, for my great-grandchildren yet to be. I have to do something personally to reconstitute myself, because things are starting to become that much, brain fog is serious. And it wasn't until after these 21 days of living outside and detoxing and just drinking water that I realized, and I didn't get rid of all of it, but I just realized how synthetic my thought process had become, and that going 21 days on just drinking water really was the beginning of a journey. So it was kind of like hitting the reboot button. And so that's where we are, and that was the catalyst for it. And another thing to mention too is that living there at the corner of 62nd Street and 12th Avenue in Miami, brother, there was hardly a day that went by that we didn't hear gunshots. That we didn't. I mean, brother, there was there was two sisters that got shot around the corner, maybe about 2 blocks over, I should say 2 blocks west, 1 block north of where we were. And I remember that night when I was laying there, I heard the shots that night. There's some shots that you hear that it's like, man, they need to stop playing and shooting them guns. And then there's the other shots that you hear and it's like, man, son, that wasn't good. Right. And so there wasn't a day that went by that we didn't. I should not take it back. There was about 4 or 5 days towards the end of when we got into day about 17, 18, 19, 20, 20, things started to become the community, the immediate community began to really take notice. We had, and I'm telling you, the shooters was right there. The shooters was there watching us. Wow. And when I say they was watching us, I don't mean like they was sitting across the street. I mean, they knew. Right. People know what was going on. And we had some of the neighbors around in the area. One young sister who I would watch her over the course of those weeks, walk her children to school. She had, like 3 of them, like Mother Goose with her 3 little geese, right? Yeah. Walking to school, and I would watch her, and I, just thinking to myself, man, what's her life like, And then like on day 19, she actually came in and she says, I've been walking by here all of these weeks, and because we had a huge sign out in the front, and if you search the Hunger 9, you'll probably find so many pictures online, and you'll see what I'm talking about. We had a big, huge billboard sign out in the lot where we were staying at, and she said I would see the sign, and I would walk by, and I'd never thought anything about it until one day, on like day 19, she's walking by and she read the sign and she saw Operation Hunger Strike. So she went home and Googled it, and that's when she saw it online, and she was like, whoa, that's what y'all are doing? That's what made her come from her apartment that I literally could throw a rock from where we were to start watching it. And she came over and she says, man, when I read about it and Googled it and I got home, that's when I said, I got to come out here and and she brought her children out there that day. So that's the kind of effect that fasting has on people that you don't really know about. And when I say on people, it may not mean somebody coming to the Hunger 9 site or wherever you have an encampment, but just even me watching a healthy alternative was like, yo, I can do this fasting. I know I could do this, So that's where we are, and that's what led us here, man, and what brought me onto this screen today here with the healthy alternative.
That's amazing. I mean, man, it's crazy going all the way back to Trayvon Martin with, the whole Zimmerman situation. I think America watched that. There's always 2 sides to every story. And there's always those people who are like, he was well within his rights. But I think the mass majority of people all had that question mark over their head. Like, how did this happen? And, for me being a black man that grew up in those types of neighborhoods, it didn't shock me, and I was telling my coworkers and stuff like that. I'm like, that doesn't surprise me. Nothing about what's going on, this supposed gun violence and all these shootings and stuff. Like, this is not new to us, but now that we've got a spotlight on it, it's like, what's going to happen? And I think, I really don't know. I guess one of the questions I wanted to ask you, there's a lot of questions I want to ask you.
Okay.
I don't know if I should save this one for later, but I wanted to know. You mentioned the impact that it had, on that mother who lived across the street. You mentioned that the community, you felt like the community kind of started to respond to you all because towards the end of your fast, the shots slowed down. What type of lasting impact do you think this will have? Or is this just kind of like the first step? You know what I mean? Like, what
Yeah.
do you think this did for the community?
Well, there, when you do something like this, you begin to raise your stock, and that's one of the things our brother Leroy was saying. He's like, for every day we stay out here, our stock goes up. And
True.
what I understood that as meaning is that our credibility goes up, because people don't really care what you know until they know that you care. And when you put your life on the line, and when you do this kind of an act, it raises your credibility up when you actually go and talk and deal with the people in your own community.
Yeah.
So I think one of the most we already have there's actually a video that was made that was like the theme song for the Hunger Nine and the hunger strike. It was called It's called Peacemakers. It's on YouTube. You could check it out. It's by King Black Man, who was one of the Hunger Nine, and it was shot. So the whole video was shot actually on the site, right, during the time we were doing the hunger strike, and so we have quite a few programs that we do already as the Circle of Brotherhood, but we needed this or something like this to show a whole other level of love and appreciation, and to show how far we will go to do something to change the trajectory of self-destruction in our community. So that was, I think that and for me, like I always went in it knowing that I may not ever meet the young man or young lady with the gun who's gonna go and shoot somebody who finds out about this and puts the gun down, but I believe that person is out there. And then also, Brother Chris, in the long run, like I watched videos of Dick Gregory while he was, there's a really popular one online, and on the 20th day of his hunger strike, when he was fasting and doing the hunger strike against the war in Vietnam. And so that was back in the 1960s, right? Or 1960s. And here I am in 2019, and I'm watching that video to inspire me for what I'm doing now. So we went into this knowing that, look, man, this may not even be recognized in our lifetime, right? So in preparation for it, it was like, I already know that there is a personal journey that each of us is going to be on in this process, and that we're going through, and even now trying to make sense of what we're involved in. And then there's a communal effect, right? That when a body of people come together for a cause, then the result is magnified.
Absolutely.
Right? And so we got emails, man, from around the country, from folks that said, we're going to start a hunger strike in Jacksonville. I think it was like 2 or 3 folks that said that found out what we were doing, and they were like, look, we're going to start our own hunger strike. And then, like I told some of the media before, the gun violence is one thing. Then we got some fork and knife violence that is on a whole other level. Okay? So we're going to get into that fork and knife violence that's leading to the heart disease and the diabetes, which I definitely want to tell you about some of the brothers who came in with a history of high blood pressure and diabetes, and what it was like when they left too.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. So I'm sitting here and I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm seeing this vision. I don't know where it came from, but like literally you got these different organizations across the nation all doing the hunger strike for the same reason at the same time. You've got, your hashtags and you got your media coverage and all of that. And people are doing this across the nation at the same time. I see that being you know, something that could be organized, it could be super, super powerful. And
it's very powerful.
I agree with you, man. I think that the way you articulated how this can affect not just the community immediately, but in the future, you're 100% right. Sometimes people aren't ready to hear the message, but when the people are ready, the message is there. So you guys have already put the message out there, and then when people do get to a point when they're ready to hear it or accept it, then it'll be there for them. So regardless of, you know, what you see right now, the effect will be everlasting. I love that.
Yes.
So okay, we'll talk about what, you know, as far as, you know, what some of the guys saw in a minute. I wanted to kind of rewind a little bit, and I wanted to ask you, did you guys, as a whole or individually, did you go into this fast prepared? Did you do any prep work for the actual hunger strike itself?
Yeah, we did. We fasted a few days together. Okay. So I think that the most amount that we did, funny enough, the most we did in preparation together, right, was 2 days. We went 48 hours, where it was like, brother Leroy, he says to us, he sends a text message out, tomorrow. First, it was we trying to wrap our brain around the price, you know, man, 21, yeah, you know, but we serious about what we're doing, man, and there's no cavalry coming for us. There's nobody. We've been sitting around waiting for somebody to change, you know, the food deserts. We've been waiting for somebody to come along and to change the carcinogenic water that's in our community. We've been waiting. Nobody's coming. You know, we all we got. So in that process, man, we here we are. We sitting here trying to wrap our brain around, yeah, we're gonna do this hunger strike. But then you got the two little angels, right? You got the one on, yeah, we're gonna do it. And then you got on, man, you crazy, man. Hey, peep right now, right? And so here's that battle going on. Then we get a text message. All right, brothers, we're gonna start tomorrow. We're gonna start with a 48 hours. What? I don't get no. So that was and then you know, all the brothers, I don't think there was anybody in there that you know, you said it beautifully earlier, there's no coincidence, you know. And I think that we all in our own personal journey, you know, me being Muslim, I've done Ramadan for the past 20 some odd years, and I fasted, you know, we try to fast our national fast at least 3 days of the first weekend out of the month. So I've had my fair share of fasting, but I've never done more than 6 days. And even when I did 6 days, I did broth and tea and coffee, you know. So those 2 days were grueling. Those 48 hours were grueling, brother. I mean, so grueling where it was like, all right, we started at 12 midnight on Wednesday, what was it, Tuesday, and it ends 12 midnight on Thursday. Brother, 11:47, that was the most difficult 13 minutes of my life. Sat right there, okay? I had the food ready, so come 12 o'clock. It wasn't that bad, but that was really outside. We did a lot of research too. I think that is one of the things that will really sustain you. The knowledge and preparation and also feeding yourself mentally and spiritually while you're going through the process is equally or even more important than the actual abstinence from the food or the intake or consumption of anything, you know. And I think that we did a lot of research where we were sending, you know, text messages back and forth to one another. Watch this video. I remember, in fact, I think it was one of your videos on distilled water that I sent out to the group of brothers that lent to the decision that we're going to do distilled water during the fast. So those things were not just equally, but in our particular case, it was even more important preparatory wise, right, for this upcoming journey we were about to go on. But the actual fasting wise was we did 48 hours together, and then all of us went to go see a doctor. We had a group of Black doctors that provided health screening and examination for everybody before they went in. We also had one of our brothers, MacArthur Richards, who he's always better known as World, WORLD, and World. We don't call him World no more because he said after he comes out after the 21 days, he no longer gonna be known. He's a hood legend, you know. He's an OG, a real live OG, right?
Right.
Like, you know, what's his name? Got that show out, The Last OG, where he ain't the last. A few of them still left walking around, right?
Right.
So so he actually, his doctor, he went in against his doctor's recommendations. His doctor told him he should not go in. His doctor said he was not going to sign off on him going in. And so he said, I'm going in anyway, because when they told me don't be out there on the block selling dope, when they told me don't be out there with the gun, and even when I was on probation, they told me don't go here, don't go there, I went anyway. So why would right now be any different?
Right.
You know? So he went in and that was, you know, and I'll tell you about him in a little while.
Definitely.
You know, the results of his diabetes and his high blood pressure. So preparing wise, you know, we all went to go see the doctor. We all got, you know, examinations. We all, and even while we were in there, every day that we were in there, we had the Professional Firefighters Association, which is the group of Black firefighters here in Miami-Dade County. And there's another group of, you know, firefighters. There's Professional Firefighter Association, and then there's the other group of Black firefighters, which is in Broward County. They came twice a day, brother, to come and check our vital signs. They came to check our blood pressure. They came to what was it? They checked weight, blood pressure, and pulse every day, twice a day, to make sure we were straight.
Wow, that it's. Look, I love seeing this side of things because the preparation that goes into doing something like this is phenomenal. It wasn't anything before talking to you. It wasn't anything I ever considered. I just thought, you know, people just decided to do this thing. And I just thought that was so wild. But like you guys, you know what I mean? Having the doctors check you out, you know, being monitored and everything. I'm humbled by the level of preparation that you guys went through to do. I mean, you went in here, you're not just in here looking to throw your life away. You're going in here with a plan.
That's
and
right.
You want to get some work done.
That's right.
So that's enormous.
And you know, in addition, if I could add on to that, because one of the things that was very clear because there were some brothers who were supposed to go in that didn't, because we all have jobs, we all have families,
right?
There are wives, there are children,
right?
There are obligations and responsibilities to other people who depend on you. All of that had to be left behind. So, Brother Leroy Jones, our lead organizer, he said, like at the very beginning, listen, man, nobody should be going into this and coming out in a worse situation than what you went in.
Right.
Like don't go in here and lose your job. Don't go in there and lose your family. Don't go in, you know, of course there were cases, some people lost, you know, we had some loss of life. There was definitely loss of income. Myself, I lost half my income as a result of that, because I just had to move some things around, ways I would get money. I couldn't be getting the money, you know, that required my presence. So that preparation side mentally, it was already understood. Listen, man, this makes absolutely no sense for anybody to go in here and come out worse, physically, spiritually, morally, financially, than what you went in at. So, you know, our motto is one brother, one hood. Black men solving their own community's problems, man. So it came down to preparatory wise, you had a physical, which includes a financial, you had the spiritual side, and you had the mental side. Our wives,
right?
The wives were the first ones that we told, right? So the wives, actually, we had a meeting. Me and my wife were out of town at the time, but we had a conference call, first off, to include our wives in this whole process and discussion. Because, you know, what is it going to benefit you? You go out there and the community now looks at you as this hero because of what you did. And then you back at home and your wife is she vexed because the bills haven't been paid, or
Right.
whatever contribution you make to the household has been sacrificed because you went and sacrificed for other people. Now the family's hindered.
Right.
So that's another side of the preparation that I wanted to include in that, man, because it's so critical.
Definitely.
To make sure that people know that, when they say, don't, this is being done by professionals, we ain't necessarily professional fast, but when the disclaimer says, this is done by professionals, don't try this at home. Like, I wouldn't recommend for anybody to go out there and you don't have a support system
Right.
to help you in this process, as a healthy alternative does very well in laying down, look, this is what you're going to go through. This is what you're going to experience. So that's really important.
Definitely. As I'm putting it out there, when those who want to get into when they do the nationwide hunger fast,
yeah,
gun violence, when y'all looking to get into it, make sure that you do this prep work ahead of time. We don't want anybody, doing something that's gonna put them in a worse situation, because that's a huge sacrifice, man. I mean, losing your income and losing family members, and I mean that's a lot. So
it's huge.
did you guys
And we got a blueprint, Chris. So when that time comes, like we have a blueprint. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Folks, and anybody who wants to find, to even check us out now, you can go to circleofbrotherhood.org, and there's plenty of information there about what we do. But I love what you just put out there, brother. And that's the fact. We need to have a nationwide hunger strike, hunger fast, man, against gun violence. And that will precipitate into so many other areas of our lives.
Yep. I wonder, and maybe it has been done, but I wonder if a nationwide fast or hunger strike has been done for anything, because in what I've researched, I always see these just small group of people in one city doing it. I've never seen where at the same time across the nation people are doing something like that. I think that'd be very powerful.
Yeah, and Ashe, brother. So it is. I think we're gonna be working on getting that done like now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. All right. So let's see here. We're definitely gonna get into the health stuff, because that's what I'm all about.
Yes,
But
sir.
I'm
Yes,
curious, as right now, what was it like being in that situation? You guys said you had tents set up. Were they enclosed? Was it raining? Yeah. I mean, what was that 21 days like? And how important was it doing it in this community, this group that you had that was, helping each other get through it? I'm sure there were some times when you were like, man, this thing, they need to stop shooting.
Hey, let me tell you, brother, we were right across the street from a Dunkin' Donuts. Okay?
Oh, wow.
We were across the street from and I remember one day, brother Blackman, Anthony Blackman, who is the one who did the Peacemaker song, right?
Okay.
And I remember one day, it was so funny, man. I love that brother so much. He stood up and he said, "Brotherhood, I'm through with this." It was like maybe about day 15 or something, and he said it with like when somebody says something with a smirk and like they say it jokingly, but they real.
Yeah.
He's like, "Brotherhood, I'm through with this. I'm about to walk my behind right across the street." So yeah, man, it was we were right there at the corner. Like I say, brother, let me tell you, I saw at least 4 car accidents being out there. I saw one car accident where 2 young men were speeding and tried to make a light, and when they turned the light, they hit a school bus. Okay. Wow. And fortunately, there were no children on the school bus, but it ripped the front of the whole school bus off. Right. And in the midst of that happening, we watching, and it's like 3:30 in the afternoon. High traffic time. One of the young men gets out the car and starts running.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm telling you, we right there in the middle. We right there. We're not in the middle of the projects. We right there on the outskirts. Okay. Right. Brother gets out and starts running. We like, yo. And then like maybe less. time stands still when stuff like that happens, right? And it could have been more than 2 minutes, but probably not. And then the police are still scratching their head, right? What's going on, etc. And then, man, the car was so mangled, right? It seems like there was another young man on the passenger side. I mean, he must have had to shimmy or get himself out. Man, he gets out the car and he starts running, but he couldn't run the same way, man. He was broke up. Right. He didn't show, he probably had some internal stuff going on. But my point in saying that is that, we heard many a gunshot. We seen so many times where, there was one police chase one night, right before spring break started, a police chase that ended up that the guy that the police were chasing runs into a light post and knocks out the electricity on the whole area. Okay. Wow. And so I'm saying that to say there's a mental health side of being in an environment like that. Okay. We were out there for 21 days. We were, but World lives across the street. World, that's his neighborhood. That's his community. Right. Albert, his brother Sweet, like that was their trap. That's what they had. That's where they, like these are brothers that know this area. I live on another side of Miami that's called Miami Gardens, aka Carroll City, and now they starting to call my neighborhood Murder Gardens. Wow. because of the violence. So I'm saying that to say that there was the group of young people from Parkland, the Parkland shooting that took place over there at Marjorie Stoneham Douglas. Some of them came out and we had a dialogue and we had, like an open forum discussion at the site. We did that plenty of times. We actually had 2 training sessions with police officers, the new police cadets, Miami City police officer cadet class and the Miami-Dade County cadet class both came out to do sensitivity training. And that was the same week that young sister who called the police because a man put a gun to her and he wrestled her down to the ground. It made national news. Like Ben Crump, who was Trayvon Martin's attorney, he's also her attorney. But that was the same week that it happened, right? So being out there in that environment, we were under tents. And speaking to the preparatory side of it, we got brothers from the streets to the suites that are members of the Circle of Brotherhood. So we got we had 2 brothers that actually have entertainment production companies where they have chairs and tents. So it was important for us to not ask anybody to help us with anything. We didn't ask nobody for no money. We didn't ask anyone for anything. This had to come strictly from us. So tent wise, we had 2, I don't know the actual measurements, but 2 of the big tents, right? That were set up outside and they were open. And the first night we were out there, it rained. And I think that was just a warning shot that the Most High was telling us, all right, listen, I'm gonna send you a little rain tonight to help you tighten up, because stuff still scattered around and whatnot. But that night, man, we, the next day the brothers came out and they came with some even better skirting for the tents. So we're in South Florida, brother, and we had 3 record hot days in Miami for a winter period, right? There or is it we in spring? This was March. So I think anyhow for March, we had 3 of the hottest days, man.
Wow.
In March in recorded history, right? And so we were out there in the elements on the regular. And all we had was those 2 tents, because nowhere else on that lot that we were on was there a lick of shade. The flip side of it, brother Chris, was that we had so much sunlight. Right. Oh, man. We had sunlight upon sunlight, brother. Yeah. And the nutrition factor in this. Oh, let me tell you, I got to send you the picture, man, because I used to do this a long time ago, but it wasn't until watching A Healthy Alternative. I used to, we had a water machine in one of my old offices, but the water would always come out cold. So I would have my green Perrier bottle and I'd fill it up and I'd put it outside in the sun. And I always thought there might be something to it, right? Yeah. People used to ask me, hey man, why do you put it out? Oh, because the sun charged. I would, little did I know I wasn't making stuff up. Right. I would say that. So So even my distilled water, I got me a five, not a five. I'm sorry, it's like a 3.5 gallon glass container, you know, and I had it outside, and I kept it filled. So the sun was charging my water all the time, man.
Very nice.
So thank you, brother.
Yeah.
For the heads up on that one, man. So we were drinking liquefied sunlight, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all would do that's huge. I'm happy to hear that because I was wondering, because I'm thinking, man, they're bringing all the bottled water and stuff, you know, drinking out of that plastic. That was smart.
Yes. So, you know, there's so many subtleties and nuances when you're engaging in a fast that if you can tweak here and tweak there, you know, because the experience is so intense, you can see just by drinking water out of glass versus drinking water out of plastic, you start realizing, man, there is not a small difference. There is a distinction between those two. And that was one of the things that that we were doing while we were out there. You know, I'm not gonna front and act like we didn't drink water out of a plastic
Right.
time to time.
Yeah.
You know, but I'll tell you that living outside, when I came back in, my first 2 days inside air conditioning, I already started getting congested. I started getting the headache already started coming back. I'm like, damn, man, this what's the word for it? This stale air that's being circulated through these vents with this dust and this, you know, I thought I couldn't wait to get out from outside to get into the AC,
right?
Because it's so hot down here, man. Now I got to figure out how to get back out into the air, man, on a regular, and sleeping outside too.
Yeah. I've never been camping. Or anything like that. So I've probably spent some nights outside, but not like intentionally or not like, you know, planning. But sleeping outside, especially grounded, like we talked about grounding earlier. If you could touch bare earth,
sir.
When you sleep, man, I'll tell you one thing. I was doing some research, maybe early last year. There was this dude, he was a doctor, I think. It was a long time ago. This is probably about 30, 40 years ago, maybe. He would have people come to him with life-threatening diseases. He would dig holes. So anybody who knows who I'm talking about, they'll know who I'm talking about, because he would dig holes for these people and they would go and sleep naked in the holes for you know, I guess depending on whatever they had going on, he would recommend different amounts of time. He didn't care if it was snow on the ground. He didn't care if it was raining or whatever. You slept in this hole, and they would come out the hole, and they would be healed because of the effects of grounding. Because that's how powerful grounding is. Just literally getting in tune with the earth.
Yeah.
And so I can only imagine going from an environment where you're sleeping outside to going back inside and having that culture shock. You know, because like, we're inside 24/7. We're inside when we sleep. We're inside when we're eating. We get in the car. We drive around inside. We work inside. And so being inside is the norm. You don't know what it's like to spend 48 hours outside, or, you know, whatever it is, 3 days, 5 days. And they say that the air inside is 9 times more toxic than the air outside. So, you know, even opening up your bedroom window and getting the air circulating, obviously making sure to clean the top of the fan, changing out the filter, all of that stuff is super important. And I did a video when I very first started the channel. Hardly anybody ever probably sees it. It's old, where I talk about the importance of air. And people I talk about water a lot. Water is actually one of my favorite topics. But in reality, air is more important than water. People don't know. Yeah, like you could, you know, you think about food, right? You think about food. You could go days, weeks, years without food. You could go days, weeks, years without water, depending on who you're talking to. But you can't go more than a couple of minutes without air. So
that's right.
Air is much more vital. And I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent because it's kind of off topic, but it's so much more vital than we think. There were studies done where people were sick. They were sick in hospitals. I can't remember. It was a particular disease that everyone was getting at the time. And what they found out was when they took the patients, they would take the patients out in large groups and just leave them outside. They'd camp outside, and they were getting better just from being outside. So
just from being outside.
Just from being outside, getting the fresh air. Fresh air. They were probably doing a little bit of grounding, didn't know it, but
yeah, I bear witness to it, man. I bear witness to that being outside for 21 days. Like it's one thing to go without food for 21 days. It's another element to just be drinking water for 21 days. Mm. And then it's a whole other, you add a whole other level of acceleration to the detox process when you're outside. Because the best way to begin a detox is to first off separate yourself from whatever is toxifying, right? So if we're in an environment that's constantly circulating this stale, bad, toxic air, and the first thing you do is separate, you automatically begin the healing process.
Right.
So, so to be fasting and to be on straight water, but then you stay in this environment, it's, the detox that your body's going through consumption wise with the food and with the water is you're not going to take anything away from that, but being in the air actually accelerates that process.
Yeah.
So you're helping me to understand now how come I don't even really know what a hunger pain is, even in that process. Like the only thing that I can really associate to a hunger pain is one night we were just joking and I started laughing, and I was just laughing so hard, and I felt this pain on the side that I know came from the you know what I mean? Like, and it only happened twice, and both times it was because I was laughing. And I think that's the only thing that I've experienced in terms of a hunger pain. And so we talked about how the power in when birds, there's a brother who spoke at the onset, Brother Patrick Muhammad. He is the representative of Minister Farrakhan in Miami. And we had a big press conference opening, etc. At the end, because we didn't have any number of days we were going to do when we went in. Right. I knew myself, irregardless how long anybody did, I had to do 21. Right. But going back to my homegirl, Ashley did 20. So I was like, yo, I joke with Ashley. I was like, yo, they were going to have to drag me out before I don't do 21. Right. But in the same respect, there's that number 21. You want to break a habit, do something 21 times. So the number 21 is a significant number, right? Because 3 is a trial, 3, and then 7's the God number. 3 times 7 equals 21, a trial. So whether you're into numerology, or 21's a significant number. So, brother, but in that process, so at the end, Brother Patrick, when he was speaking, he said that he was meditating on what we were doing. And he said what came to him was the sight of birds when they fly in the V-shaped, in the sky. And what happens is that you have the bird that is the point bird. When that bird gets tired, it'll drop down and go to the back, and another bird will pick up and will continue to go, and it'll keep the pace going, right? And so he said, as I envisioned you 9 brothers, which that number 9 is also significant. That's the number of completion, right? 9 months to birth a child. Okay. And he says that as I was meditating on you 9 brothers, I saw the birds, and how when one would get tired, the other one would fly to the front. It would strengthen them all. And so I know that was part of the process. In the same respect, you put it in a different context when you talk about the air and being outside. Because outside and being outside in that fresh air for that number of days strengthened us on a whole other kind of a level. Where, don't get me wrong, by the time 20, there was a joke that Brother Leroy said on day 9. I think it was about 19 or 18 when we decided we're gonna come out. We actually were gonna come out on a Friday, which would have made it 20 days. And so brother said, man, if Jesus Christ himself came here and said, y'all got to stay longer, I'll walk past him, you know, you know, but we actually did extend it to the 21 days because we were going to come out on the 20th day on that Friday. But then it was like, yo, we come out on Friday, it will not complete those 21 days. So we started on March 9th, you know, ironically, the same day that Biggie Smalls was killed, you know, and this being, because I actually had a Biggie Smalls shirt. That's another thing too. I know that a healthy alternative, at least as far as what I've known, has concentrated a lot on the fasting and on the diet side of it. And I just want to give you some of these pearls because, as you already know, there's a mental side to all of it. And when you do things with purpose, it not only expedites, but it also multiplies the effect than when you just kind of happen to do something, you know. And so I actually had a shirt that was made, and it had Biggie Smalls, and it said it was all a dream, and then it said murdered on March 9th. And so we had a clothesline that was on the outside in our encampment, and National Public Radio did a really great story with some great pictures on it too, if folks want to see it, to just kind of add the visuals. But we had T-shirts of those that were killed by gun violence. You know, we had a line that was on the outside, so we started out with about 10 or 12 of them, you know, and by the time it was said and done, we probably had about 50 of them, because folks would come by and want to put their loved ones, you know, shirt on the line.
Right. That's beautiful.
And I mean, we had all kind of experiences out there, man, that just came from the fast. You know, going back to that scripture, man, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, that you may guard against evil. So we had folks that would come out, man. We had mothers that came out that were like, I just saw the sign about ending gun violence. And yeah, that's what we're doing. My son was killed 2 blocks over on 10th Avenue. You know, we were on 12th. On 10th Avenue, my son was killed. I was making him dinner. He said he was going to the store. Next thing I know, I had a funny feeling in my body. I knew something wasn't right. And then the police came to my house. That's when, you know, he didn't come back in the 20, 30 minutes normally that he would.
Right.
You know, another sister that came and pinned her son's shirt, who lived on another side of South Florida, not South Florida, but Broward County, in an area called Miramar. And in Miramar, she was like, you know, there's a 0.05% chance that my son would have been killed by gun violence. And I would sympathize, but I never thought I would be able to empathize with a mother who lost their son to gun violence. Right. You know, so when you enter into a fast, you know, there is what is called what is that word, man? I'll remember it in a little while. But when you look for something, but you find something else of even greater value, you know, serendipity, one of my favorite words, means when you're looking for something, but you find something else of greater value. Wow. So anybody who's listening to this, you know, you may, of course, losing the weight is beautiful, because I went in at 207 pounds and I lost 27 pounds in 21 days. Yep. Right? And now, mind you, the weight comes back on much easier than it goes off, right? So the objective is to just fast in order to lose weight. That's cool if you got a prom dress or if you got a tuxedo or something you want to get into quick. But when you add in that mental and spiritual quality to it, you exponentialize the effect of what you're looking for, and you end up finding something that you didn't really go in there looking for. For instance, like we were talking earlier, you got those that I've watched on your channel that went into a fast because they wanted to lose weight. Next thing you know, they're becoming healthcare professionals. Right. You know, they didn't go in there for that, but they realized, hey, man, there's so many people that want to know how I did what I did, and there's a lane for me in that. And there they go. They found their lane, and now they're rolling in it.
Absolutely. Serendipity. That's what happened when I started A Healthy Alternative. I can imagine it. I certainly had no intentions of what's
Yeah.
it been 2.5 years later, talking to you on this platform about gun violence and fasting. Like, I went into this to heal myself and my brother. And now it's become something I never even imagined. So yeah, that's crazy. That's amazing.
And this is only the beginning. It's
Definitely.
the beginning.
Definitely. That
And it's just the beginning of where a healthy alternative and where Brother Chris is going. Like, I know that, I see it. I'm a product of it.
Definitely. It's just the beginning. And people like such as yourself who are helping to spread the awareness in such a unique way. I mean, this video touches on two major topics simultaneously in such a unique manner. I mean, I can't even imagine what'll come out of it. But that's gotta be gotta be really fulfilling to be able to have those experiences, you know, with those individuals. It really kind of brings home what you're doing. It puts a picture, it puts a face to the names and the people. You know, you hear about all these mothers and things that are being affected, or mothers and families being affected by it, but to be able to interact with them, and you know, obviously just people that you didn't expect to meet. I mean, I would imagine it was probably pretty warm too to you know, have those experiences.
Profound.
I definitely wanted to get into a little bit more of the health benefits that you guys saw, because you said you had the doctors,
Okay.
and then you had the firefighters coming in and checking your weight and everything. I did want to just briefly, really quick, say that, you know, if I'm assuming that you guys didn't you didn't break your fast, or you didn't come out of it like, yo, we're about to change our diet, because you mentioned the weight came back pretty quick. I just wanted to put a pin in that. You know what I mean? I want.
Yes. Good.
Either we could talk about that now, or we could talk about that after. But you know, I'm curious about how you guys did break your fast. I mean, you might not be able to speak for everyone else.
We could tackle that right now. That was because that was another thing that was like in the research prior to going in, and even while we were in there, right? One of the common themes that I kept seeing popping up was people saying, I wish I didn't break my fast the way that I did.
Right.
Like I heard that a lot. And we also, so I've been a vegetarian myself, well, a pescatarian, ovo pesco, whatever, you know, I eat. So I do drink milk sparingly, but cheese and fish. So I do cheese and fish, but I haven't eaten any pork in like almost 30 years. Red meat in about 25 years, and then chicken about 14 years. And but I'm serious with candy, man. Like, I'm bad with the candy. And so let me give you this story, and then I'll go into how we broke it. So in preparation, I remember I was like, look, I got to build up like a marathon, right? So we're going to do these 2 days. And then I need to get 6 consecutive days in to see how it feels before I go in. But the time kept dwindling, right? And so finally it got to we were about 5 days out, and I was like, man, I need to get in 2 or 3 days beforehand, see how I feel. Or I wanted to be like strictly on juice before going in. Brother, it hit me so clear one night as I was sitting in my office, you know, trying to get, you know, some last minute paperwork and things done. Not last minute, because it was a few days before. And we had this function, and somebody brought candy for the children. And they brought this big thing of those sour straws. And I'm bad with candy, you know, like I got a sweet tooth is not I got a sweet mouth, okay? But Chris, it hit me so plain and clear, because I was starting to beat myself up about, man, you haven't done this, and you know you're supposed to start, you haven't done that. And the voice came to me so clear, man, eat whatever you want to eat, because you ain't gonna eat you don't know when you're gonna eat again. I took that. I was like, man, that must be God talking to me. God then gave me permission.
Oh yeah.
So man, I think I might have ate that whole thing of sour straws that night, man. It just kept, but once we went in, right?
Right.
There was we all had a major concentration on how we're going to break the fast so we don't hurt ourselves, right? Because I had an experience when I was in there. As a matter of fact, it was one day where she's a homegirl, right? She's Mary Jo. I can't remember Mary Jo's last name. She played the mother on Family Matters, right? She got that real distinct voice, her.
Yeah.
So she came to visit us, right? And I remember, so we were taking a picture over on the other side of the lot, and I wanted to grab my hat. And earlier that morning, I was just feeling so great, Chris. I was like, yo, man, you know, I'm telling one of the brothers in there, Brother Melvin. Brother Melvin was a former Golden Gloves champion. You know, so I'm telling Mel, I'm like, yo, Mel, man, yo, I think I could run, man. Like, I'm really feeling like that. Like, I could run. And he was like, yeah, me too, brother. And I said, man, I might test it out a little bit later, because I was still trying to get 5,000 steps in a day. And, you know, and we were doing yoga every morning.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, every morning we had a brother named Eric Knowles. And Eric Knowles, you know, by day, he's the executive director of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, which is the Black Chamber of Commerce, right? Wow. And then by spare time, he's a yoga instructor. So, but a very committed brother, you know, Eric Knowles. And so Eric would come out. So at least 4 days out of the week. So out of the 21 days, I think we did yoga at least 15 days. That we did. The days that he didn't come, I took over, because I'm a Egyptian yoga basu, or teacher myself. Okay. So the days that he didn't come, I would do the yoga myself in the morning with the brothers, right? So that day when Mary Jo came out, I remember I said, hold on, let me go grab my hat. So I ran from where she was over to where my hat was under the tent, and I ran back. Man, Brother Chris, when I stood there, the sun just started getting brighter and brighter and brighter. My ears started ringing like I've never heard. My ears, it started with a low. I was like, yo, the hell is going on? And then we would take a picture with our fist up. And I had my fist up, and it just started, you know, I felt, and I was just like, I had to start reciting a prayer. I was like, oh Allah, oh God, do not let me fall out while in front of the cameras. Right. Because the cameras are set up taking this, you know, this is a photo op, right? And I remember just after that, man, I just had to sit down and get my bearings. I sat down for like 10 minutes, and then I went back to Brother Mel. I was like, yo, Mel, I can't run, man. Yo, the running is not, that's the first time I was really introduced to what has happened to my body. Okay. Not introduced, because I saw the weight go down, you know, all of that stuff was great, but I felt so fantastic. I never felt any of what people talked about with the, you know, the fatigue. You know, of course you got fatigue, but it didn't seem any different from regular afternoon fatigue. Right. But that moment, Brother Chris, that's when I was introduced to the fact that fasting can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. And then going back to how we broke the fast. So we talked about that a lot, right? So how I broke the fast was, not just me. There were some sisters from Muhammad's Mosque number 29, the mosque here in Miami, who made bean soup. They made a pureed, very low seasoned bean soup, navy bean soup. Sister Dawn, she brought a pot out for each one of the brothers, right? So for the first 2 days, I just ate that bean soup along with organic baby food. Like, I love baby food. I have 6 children, man. So, yeah, I love baby food, brother. It was always one spoon for you, one spoon for me. So we broke it with the bean soup and baby food, and I think I did that for like 2 days, no, 3 days, and then my wife was out of town, and then so we broke it on Saturday. So Tuesday night, I took my family out to dinner, and I ate some sushi, and I didn't feel any kind of way, you know. I was just doing soup and juicing. So I would actually juice all my vegetables, and then that would be my broth.
Oh,
And
okay.
then, but I'll tell you what though, man. Within that week, I got adventurous, and I got some organic tomato bisque, right? So I got an organic tomato bisque, and I love herring, smoked herring from out the can.
Mm.
So I added some smoked herring to it, and I with pumpkin seeds.
Mm.
It was delicious. It was absolute. But brother, that night my stomach woke me up with a vengeance
Yeah.
and was very upset.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's when I realized I'm going too fast. I should not, that pumpkin seed, that fish, along with that, with tomatoes already has its acidic qualities to it.
Mm.
Those three things they weren't deadly, man, but they reminded me of the fragility of the stomach. And once your stomach is not accustomed to something and you put something in it that's foreign, how you could damage it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you breaking the fast, man. That eludes a lot of people. Your body, when you come off of a 21-day fast, your body talks to you. It speaks very
Absolutely.
loud. What I tell people, it's crazy that even things that are considered to be good for you can be bad for you under certain circumstances. And I think that it's like you have to respond in real time. If your body, you eating something, your body doesn't respond well to it, whether you've been able to eat it before and it'd be okay, man, maybe it's time to just be like, okay, I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm not gonna mess with it right now. And you just
That's
gotta
right.
listen. You just gotta pay attention.
Yeah, yeah. It'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. The complex combinations of different foods and stuff. Um, Actually, Dick Gregory talks about it, how babies, you'll notice that when you give a baby a hamburger, a hot dog, they start pulling it apart and they eat it one thing at a time. They'll pull the meat away from the bun, they'll pull the pickles off, they
Yeah.
break it down because the body actually has to adjust the stomach acid for what we consume. And it does it masterfully and in real
Hmm.
time. So as you're
Makes
smelling
perfect
it,
sense.
it's analyzing the chemical compounds of the foods and the more complex the foods you're eating, the more your body has to work. And so when you give it simple things to eat, it makes the body, it's easier, you know. So
Yeah, makes
that's what's
perfect
up.
sense.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you didn't go too crazy because like because you guys did your prep, you did some research because people, they'll do them 21-day fast or 30-day fast and have a entire pizza or go to the Chinese buffet. I say that all the time, but it's true, people do that and they
Yeah,
mess
man.
themselves up.
I'm you just saying that and experiencing what I experienced is scary. Like it's scary for me to think. I was really scared, man, to eat certain foods. Like once I came out because I knew, and I mean, this is a healthy alternative, so we could be real, right?
Yeah.
So the first bowel movement that I had. So I told you I'm a father. My wife and I, our last three children were home births. We don't live, our children are homeschooled. We don't live a conventional lifestyle, right?
Okay.
So so I think the term for it is meconium, right? The first bowel movement that a child has, that's like a black tar.
Yeah.
Um, that brother, the first bowel movement that I had
Mm.
after that was meconium. It was
Ah.
the black tar. It,
Ah.
it it was that. It had no odor. And being so familiar with it with my children, because all of my children were breastfed. I think my oldest was the only one who didn't go a full 2 years. Everyone else went 2 years. So I'm used to, baby. It doesn't sound cute when you say baby feces, right? Baby stuff, right? How it can actually smell sweet. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
When it's from a breastfed child,
Yeah.
brother. When I had that bowel movement and I realized it was like meconium, I was like, I had to hug my stomach. I said, "Oh Lord, it's like new again."
Yeah.
And I was afraid of what I can put inside me that would literally have me belt over.
Yeah.
Like there was a fear for it because of the stories that I heard, because of my limited experience. And then seeing that, it was like, yo, I think I got some new insights, man.
Yeah.
That's something that everybody should experience.
Definitely. I've been, I look at babies a lot for my research because I can't think of anything else that will give me like that pure. It's just babies are so pure and they haven't had an opportunity to be tainted by our world, even the air. And you know what I mean?
So true.
So the way the body acts, babies' breath don't stink, period. Their breath doesn't stink. Their bowels, like you said, they can even smell sweet if they have a smell. Like I said, mentioned with Dick Gregory, the babies pull the food. Like babies do, they sleep a certain way. They breathe a certain way. And so I'm thinking that, even when they sweat, man, they don't stink. Like they only stink because their pee be all, it's the pee and stuff, but the diaper. But like, other than that, babies don't stink. And I would hear people say through my research, we're not supposed to stink and stuff like that. And maybe 4 months ago, I did a video where I was talking about how I stopped using deodorant. I don't need deodorant anymore because as I've gone through this process of healing and cleansing, I don't stink anymore. So, reverting back to that baby-like form is you're much closer to a pure form in the way I believe we're supposed to be. When you eat something or you do something that alters that form, especially when you come off of them long fasts, you can instantly see like what's pulling you away from that form. And you just know, oh, I shouldn't be eating this or I shouldn't be doing it. You just know. Processed foods, whether you vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian, processed foods are bad, period. No matter what kind of diet. And you'll know because your body, and I tell people, like, you probably got a chance to experience this. You start having bowel movements. If you're eating like fruit and stuff, your bowel movements are good to go. Man, I was making some alkaline food at the time. My feces actually smelled like the food that I was making. It
absolutely.
Then, as I started slipping into eating the pizza and the bad stuff, my bowels started changing. The texture of it changed. The smell of it changed. And I could just see myself toxifying my body again.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing because even after, so the first one that I had was like meconium, right? It was that black tarish, and it no odor, right? And then I think the second bowel movement that I had was straight bean soup. It was
right.
And I felt, it's like when you like when you pour a glass of water and you watch the water pour out and you can hear it, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it was likened unto when I had that second bowel movement and it was just the baby food and the bean soup, like I felt everything come out.
Yep.
And it was just such a different experience.
Yep.
From when from before. When you can have a bowel movement, you still feel stuff, up in your chest.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or at least pushing up on your abdomen. You got your stomach and your guts and your uterus. Not your uterus, your intestines. Your intestines. I'm a pregnant woman now, right? Some of us look, and that's actually important. Some of us are so swollen.
Yep.
That even after you have a bowel movement, it didn't even, all it did was relieve what was right there at the exit.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't even deal at all with the intestines. So having that second bowel movement with such light food, and when I came out, it was like I could hear better. I was like, yo, this is it's one thing to have to use the bathroom and then you do it and you feel better, right?
Right.
Like everybody knows that experience. It's another thing when you're clean on the inside and then you're full and then you relieve yourself of the clean food. You're like, whoa, man, this is a whole other kind. Yo, it's some of the viewers are probably like, yo, they're having fun and an intelligent conversation about feces.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, what could be more important than teaching your children or you learning how to properly, relieve yourself?
Right.
When we're always looking for relief from some kind of stress, that's like one of the most basic stresses that's in our life. And until you really fast and clean yourself out and know what it feels like to be clean, like I told my wife that the other day, and we had a conversation. I said, I know what it feels like now. I know what being healthy feels like. Like after those 21 days, I know what being like, especially after day 2 or 3, after I ate the good food and I kind of got my strength back. Because before, on that Saturday when we broke it, I walked about a quarter mile just to go catch an Uber at the corner. And that was a long, tough walk, man. I was almost winded at the end of that walk, But after 2 days, getting my strength back up and whatnot, I said, yo, I know what healthy feels like. And I didn't know what that over the past, I'm 47 years old. And over the past 40 some odd years, I did not know what this felt like, And so now I have something to actually compare my current states to. Like right now, I know, like I've lost 27 pounds. And so we completed on the 30th, March 30th. So we're a little bit over a month, and I put back on about 17. I put back on about 17 of those pounds. And so, so as a result, I again, man, I just know what healthy feels like versus what it doesn't feel, what's not healthy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's straight up. Like, that was the same thing for me. Actually, right now I'm at a place where, I can't eat too much. My body just won't let me. I naturally moved into more of a 1 meal a day type deal.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I'll have something small earlier in the day, but usually never before noon. I never eat before noon. So I might have something small around 2:00, depending on where I am, what I'm doing. And then I have my dinner at night. But if I eat too much, man, I feel really backed up. And it's not, when I say too much, I'm not talking about I eat a whole bunch. I can't even eat that much anymore. And so it's like every time I have a bowel movement, it's how you explained it. It's like this relief and feels really good. And it's, you could just like you said, it's like squeezing a toothpaste. It's like squeezing a toothpaste.
Yes.
You just squeeze it out and you could just, it's all gone.
Yeah.
And I try to tell people, I'm like, look, we've been taught we're supposed to get nutrition and the sustenance that we eat, we're actually breaking down and we're absorbing it. That's not true. You actually will eliminate all of the physical matter that you put in your body. All of it it actually should come out of you, and that's what you could get to experience when you come off that fast. Your system's clean, it works properly. Your bowel movements are bigger. Because I remember I'd eat an avocado, man. Avocado be about this big.
Yeah.
And I'd have a bowel movement like this. I'm like, how? For real. I was like, this is crazy.
It's amazing.
So I wanted to get into what some of the guys and maybe yourself experienced. So what were they dealing with going into the strike, and then what did they experience coming out of it health wise?
Well, one of the most incredible. Well, first off, collectively among us 9, I think we lost almost 300 pounds collectively. Like everybody lost 25 or better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody lost 25 pounds or better. Okay. And so that was the first thing. Now we had 2 brothers who had a long history. Brother Ed Haynes, who actually has an incredible security company called Haynes Security. And he had a 30-year history of high blood pressure. 30-year history of high blood pressure. And then the other brother, MacArthur Riches, who also had, I don't know if it was as long as 30 years, but he had a long standing history of high blood pressure and diabetes, right? So they both came out with regular blood pressure.
Yes.
And it's been that way since.
Yeah.
Okay? And then the other thing is that so MacArthur just refused to take, I shouldn't say refuse. He didn't like taking the diabetes medication, right? He's one of those that you had to wrestle with him to take it.
Right.
He would suffer from the symptoms of not taking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, not of not taking, but of the sugar being disproportionate and going through, the maladies that come with that.
Right.
And so they both came out, brother, with regular blood pressure, with not just regular, but excellent blood pressure. And they maintained it for over the past month.
Nice.
And then on top of that, the diabetes has disappeared in MacArthur.
What?
So, yeah, man. So I'm telling you, it's like the biggest challenge that we all have is, first off, wrapping our brain around struggle, because nobody wants to struggle. Even though we know that you have to struggle to get through something, nobody wants to really go through it. And then the way the mind works, the mind will automatically come to your defense and try to protect you from struggle and convince you not to struggle.
Yep.
Right? So that's the way the mind works. But I think we all know that we feel better when we eat less. Or those that eat a lot know that they gotta work out. So you got, they eat 5 meals a day, 5 small meals, but they work it off because it's really burning the fuel that you're putting in the body. Now, once you start finding out, man, like you were explaining, the effects of processed food on our health, and how these added, maltodextrin, or these, red number 10, blue number 7, and then you start finding out that, the salmon you're eating, they're pumping it up with food coloring in order to make it look more attractive to you. When you start finding that out, just the knowledge, first off of that, has an effect on you when you eat it, because you know it, right? They say ignorance is bliss. It doesn't affect you the same way when you know that you're doing something is wrong. When you know you're doing something wrong, it affects you different from when you're just not doing it, right? So a lot of the brothers, man, all of us went in there with our own reservations and hesitations about our own personal health, right? But brother, once we came out and just watching, the eye can see everything except itself. And so, I don't really see myself, but I'm watching these other brothers, and I'm watching it because we would open up the gate for people to come in and visit, and we did regular workshops throughout the course of the day, but we would close down around 7, 8 o'clock, man. And people would come in, Chris, and they would look at me, and they'd be like, "Man, you're glowing. You look so great. Oh my, man, thank you. People I don't even know, thank you so much for what you're doing." I was like, "Really? What are we doing?"
Right.
And then we had brothers, because, we were serious about what we were doing. So we had brothers that would come in at night and that would be on security for us. So I would wake up in the middle of the night, to go use the bathroom, whatever. He's drinking mad water. And I would see the brothers awake at night, on security post, security detail. And I'd be like, "Man, I'm glad I ain't got day job." I don't know. They looking at me like, "Oh my God, brother, what y'all doing? And I'm like, "Man, look, I don't really know what we're doing." I'm just trying to focus myself on the discipline, because the motto for me was, the greater the discipline, the greater the success, right? Yeah. And there was something that I heard the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, he said right before we went in. He said, not before we went in, but was one of my mantras. That was one of them. And then the other one was, do the work and the money will come. So in this case, it wasn't necessarily the money, but if you do the work, the results will come. Right. Because you don't plant a tomato seed and get onions. You're going to reap what you sow. Mm-hmm. So my challenge was, look, you play your part. You stay in here. You stay on this fast. You stay on this hunger strike along with the other brothers. And then the God, the universe, by whatever name you call, the Most High, those names are the best names. By whatever name it is you go by, it will then take its course and move things how they're supposed to be moved. You just do your part. And the same thing goes for anybody, man. Right now, yes, you want to lose the weight? Definitely fast. Get control of your appetite. Get control of your diet. You want to get rid of the brain fog and get some clarity? Fast. Stop putting in the stuff that is causing a bottleneck. in your thought process. Very literally. Thoughts are electricity. Electricity travels through neurons. Neurons are physical. So all it, you can't have the physical without the spiritual and the mental. So, go in it, but if you just tweak a little bit more and look for that spiritual and mental enlightenment and uplift, man, you take your physical results you're looking for and you exponentialize them, because now you're starting to glow. Now you're starting to shine differently,
Yeah, absolutely, man. Very, very well put.
Yes, sir.
That's deep, man. This has been very, very enlightening. The entire talk, the what you all were doing, like, seriously, it's been very enlightening. My wheels are turning, and I think that you guys have already, the intentions that you put out there are already starting to bear fruit. Honestly, like, because it doesn't take long. A thought travels in an instant. So
yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm really excited to have been able to bring you on the platform and share your story.
Thank you.
And I think that in the future, I think that you guys are going to do some more with this, man.
Yeah. We talked about that fork and knife violence, man. That's the next violence we need to attack right there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm literally sitting here thinking about that myself. Like, it's going, it's definitely a challenge to organize something like that, but that definitely needs to happen.
Yeah, and to any, we mentioned it before, but I definitely want to tell everybody, you can go to circleofbrotherhood.org and find out more about who we are, what we're doing down here in South Florida, because we really believe, we have an employment program. We have the Peacemakers program where we patrol in our own communities. And for me, I went to the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, 10-10-15. And when Minister Farrakhan said we need 10,000 fearless to get in between the gangs and the guns, I was like, this was one way for me to do that, and I say all of that to say that nobody's coming for you. You're gonna have to save your own self. Like, we have to take the responsibility for our own health. And the beautiful thing is that we have the power.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing, by just being still for a little while and fighting through the voices and fighting through the angst that comes along with doing something out of your ordinary, getting out of your comfort zone. Because most of us eat for comfort anyway. And to get out of your comfort zone means to stop eating for comfort. And that's where the growth really starts happening, is when we get out of our comfort zone and we get to that place where you start seeing who you really are. So that's our challenge today, man. And I thank you so much. And I sent you that original email while we were inside there, because I was like, I got to send this brother this email first off, so you can know the influence that a healthy alternative has had on this particular journey, on my particular journey, and on this movement, and on this operation, because this was a military operation in many respects.
Absolutely.
Right? So the information that you provided was intel for us in this operation. And I really wanted to share that with you and let the viewers know that anybody that's thinking about this, please reach out to us. You can if you'd like to, you can send me a personal email. If you want to put it in the thing, you can send it to Faisal, F as in Frank, AI, S as in Sam, AL, at Souljah, SOULJAH.com. That'll be my personal email. You can send it to there. You can also go to circleofbrotherhood.org and you can send an email to there, get in contact with us through there. And we would love to share with you, what we learned in this process, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Because this has to happen on different levels, because once we start doing it with many more people, then we can start really increasing that that electromagnetic energy that resonates from this kind of effort and endeavor.
Absolutely. I'll put in the description box, I'll put all the links and everything, how to contact you. You said hashtag the Hungry Nine.
Hunger, Hunger.
Hashtag the Hunger Nine. So for those of y'all who use Instagram, or shoot, man, they hashtag on everything now. We'll hashtag it on the video too.
Yeah, and there's hashtag Operation Hunger Strike. That was popular. And then we had about 5. I'll send them to you so that you can add them onto there and whatnot. But the Hunger 9 or Hunger 9, if you Google that, that kind of pulls up a lot of stuff, or search it, you know, through whatever search engine you use.
Absolutely. Well, it's been great. It's been I know something more is gonna come of this. So we'll be in touch. And
yes, sir.
Yeah, if you all are watching and you were inspired, if you've been if gun violence has affected your life, your neighborhood, and you want to stand up and do something, reach out, man. Like he said, don't reinvent the wheel. You know, there's a trail that's being blazed, and just like the birds do, you know, the strong kind of blaze the trail for a while. When they get tired, they go to the back, and then you could come to the front, and you can, you know, make some headway for the movement and for our country, and, you know, saving lives, really. Like that's what it boils down to.
That's right.
Did you have any last words? I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up.
I think for anybody, I know the Final Call is in a lot of communities. In the most recent issue of the Final Call, there's a full page article on the Hunger 9 that's in there. Also, again, I just really wanted to thank you for the work that you're doing in helping a world to become healthier, you know. And there's so many facets to what health is. You got mental health, you got physical health, you got spiritual health, you got financial health, you know. But all of those things is what make us who we are. And at the core of it is being able to control your appetites and exercise discipline. And going through the fasting process is the beginning of that journey to being able to control the other vices, the other urges that we have. And on the other side of it, man, is nobody's coming for us. And when I say us, you know, I know that you have people across the board of every race, creed, class, and color, but there's something that is very unique that's happening in the Black community as a result of the 400-year sojourn of Black folks here in America. That you scratch your head when you're looking at the condition of Black folks. And you know, for all of those that are watching, I would encourage you to dig deeper into that as to why it's happening the way it is. And then, you know, go and research and go and look at our big brother, Baba Dick Gregory, and the work that he did in researching him for the fasting. I came to find out that he's actually the one that wrote the song Imagine for John Lennon. Okay? Yeah, John Lennon credits Dick Gregory for writing Imagine, right? And then it was from him going to John Lennon and Yoko Ono to help them to detox, to get off of the drugs that led to that relationship, that led to the writing of Imagine.
Wow.
That's heavy.
That's heavy, yeah.
Dick Gregory, in his beauty, he says, the interviewer asked him, well, what about royalties? He said, royalties? Do you pay your mama royalties for nursing you on her breast?
Right.
No, that's my friend. Like, you know, it's just that wisdom that comes, but that all came from detoxing, you know, and all of these other, you know, there's that serendipity again, man. Looking for something and you find something of equal or greater value. If you're on the fringe like I was, watching the videos, man, I want to do it. Man, start out by going till 12 o'clock, then go to 1 day, then do 2 days. And then you'll start gathering. And Dick Gregory said it too in one of the videos. He says, when you don't go on a hunger strike or fast to make bad people good. You do it in order to start attracting the energy and the people you need to get done what you need to do. So we'll end it on that.
All right. Well, enough said then. Brother Philip, it's been an honor and a pleasure.
Likewise.
And just so I'm grateful to what you all are doing, because it's something that, like, everybody's got their own battles to fight, but we fight them with a singular mind, which is,
that's right,
really just helping to uplift the community and create a better world for ourselves and our children. So
that's right.
Look, for those of y'all out here who enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. And as always, the application of knowledge is power. And we will see you guys next time.
Peace.